So Alex, so you mentioned that obviously you create an estimate in obviously the management system that gets uploaded to obviously service split.
Yep.
So they couldn't just say, oh, I just want to start a random service pot of money to be allocated at some point next year.
I'm glad someone asked that question, because that's what most people want to happen. It's unfortunately completely illegal from everybody's perspective, unless you decide to create a bank. So this is, if you think a few years ago, there was these companies that were creating these like Christmas savings accounts where you put all your money in it, and they all went bang, and the FCA literally changed UK regulation and law because of those businesses. So what is legal, and this is where I've spent a lot of time on this, is a prepayment for a predefined product. That's completely legal, and you're all covered by FCA. And we have, if you at your request, we can send you the notice that we've got from an FCA lawyer to explain why this is a non-regulated activity. You don't need it, but if you want to go into that detail. However, you have to be careful with your wording, because we are dealing in a regulated space, and the worst case scenario is the FCA comes up to you and says, stop doing this, what you're doing. We've made it really easy for the customer to cancel their plan. So let's say they sign up to a service timing belt and whatever it is, it has to be predefined, and you're in contract to complete that product or service if the customer pays in full. But let's say 6 months into the plan, they have an absolute disaster and the head gasket goes, and they want to use all of that money that they've got with you on that repair. They can cancel their plan based on your terms and conditions. But if we look at Lindley's, customer can cancel their plan. They have to stipulate, you then have to stipulate what you're doing with those funds. Are you refunding them back to the customer, or is it going as a payment to account? But the act in cancelling the plan voids the contract. And again, we're now outside of FCA regulated space. You can then use that money on that repair. So you can't create a savings account for the customer, but you can create a non-risk way of them being able to spend that money on something else if that event arises. But I can't stress, this is not to protect the customer. This is not to protect service split. This is to protect you. If you have like an ambiguous repair plan and that customer has a load of repairs, they could come after you and say, well, I didn't know, I thought it was everything. And then you'd be in some trouble then, because you've got a repair plan which is ambiguous, and the customer's going to say, well, I thought that was every repair ever on my car. They probably wouldn't do, but in the event that happens, you're going to be in hot water. So yeah, that's a very long way of answering. It's a good question. It's a question that I know most people are thinking about, but it's got to be predefined, but it can also be flexible in the respect that you can cancel that contract and then reallocate those funds.